Hey, Siri.
Hello, Sonny.
Siri, what time is it?
Well, it's time for your show.
Siri, would you please play our opening jingle?
You mean this one?
Sonny Melendrez, Sonny Radio, SonnyRadio.com.
Hello, hello. It's Sonny Melendrez, and welcome to the positive side of the radio spectrum. You found the Sonny Melendrez Show. Every week we strive to bring you entertainment and inspiration through storytelling, fascinating guests, exclusive celebrity interviews, and it's all delivered with lots of enthusiasm. Now, I cannot wait to introduce you to my special guest, Susan Bennett, the voice of Siri. That's right, you'll meet her in a minute. We're brought to you by Ideal Precision Roofing in San Antonio. Now, let's face it, the holidays are not exactly the time that you'd be thinking about a roof replacement. But with recent rain and high winds in our area, you might suspect damage to your roof. If so, the sooner you have it professionally inspected, the better. Here's the good news. Ideal Precision Roofing can give your home a free inspection, and if damage is found, they can work with your insurance company to get the job done quickly and efficiently. So call the roofing company, trusted by hundreds of San Antonio area homeowners. Call 210-485-1553. That's 210-485-1553, or visit idealprecisionroofing.com. And don't forget to tell them that Sonny Melendrez sent you. And now, on with the show.
Sonny Radio, SonnyRadio.com, San Antonio.
Well, my guest today is a mom. She's a vocal actress. She's a singer. She's a voiceover artist. And you may know her as one of the most recognized voices in the world. Susan Bennett, the voice of Siri. Susan, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Oh, my goodness. You know, it's incredible. I was reading your biography, and you're really, it's amazing how, you know, you have these paths that bring you to a particular part in your life, and something you never expected, and all of a sudden there's a whole other career that's opened up for you. But let's go back to when you were starting out.
I was born in Vermont. I lived all over New England and upstate New York. And then I got married right out of college to Kurt Bennett, who was became an NHL hockey player. And he was playing with the New York Rangers and got traded to the brand new team, the Atlanta Flames. So we got traded to Atlanta.
I see.
And we both fell in love with the city, so we ended up staying here.
Yeah, it is a beautiful city. And, you know, in college, you were actually studying music, weren't you?
I was studying music, yes, but I was also studying, you know, basically just what they would call, I can't think of the term right now, but you just kind of went to college and studied a little bit of everything. So I didn't know what I wanted to do after college, so I studied a lot of the arts, you know, and music, writing. I did take a biology class, you know, and science classes here and there, but mostly just art and music related.
But at one point, you were actually a singer, backup singer for Roy Orbison and Burt Bacharach?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that happened. Well, I was living in Atlanta, and Burt was doing a fairly short tour, just 2 or 3 weeks, of the South and the Southwest. And so they started off in Atlanta, and that was absolutely incredible. It was so much fun, just amazing to even be in the same room with this man.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years later, I ended up becoming part of the Roy Orbison band, and I was with him for about 2 years. And we started off, our first gig was in Bulgaria, televised to 10 million people. And we ended up traveling the world. We went to Australia. We worked in Australia, all over the place. So it was an amazing. I look back on my resume when I've gotten my resume together for all of this Siri business. I looked back on it, and I just go, wow, Wow, I've had fun.
You really have, and it seems like you're still having fun in a whole new way. But let me ask you, when you were a backup singer for Roy Orbison, what was Roy like?
Roy was very reclusive. We really saw very little of him. I think he hung out a little bit with the tour manager and perhaps the guitar player, but we really rarely saw him. I mean, he was a very nice person, but he was a man who had a very, very tragic life, and consequently, he really kind of kept to himself a lot of the time, so I didn't really get to know him. Just on stage.
Sure.
I got to sing a duet with him. I got to play the Emmylou Harris part of That Loving You Feeling Again.
Oh, my goodness.
So that was thrilling for me.
Can we find that on YouTube?
I know where you can find it is, there is a recording of Austin City Limits from 1982. And if you look that up, I'm not sure if the whole thing is on YouTube. I'm not exactly sure, but I know that they do still sell that. If you go to Roy's site, I bet you can buy a CD, or I don't know if they've got it streaming or anything like that now.
Yeah.
But or on Bluetooth things.
But
anyway,
what?
I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
I'll just ask Siri.
Yeah, she'll know. Or not.
Exactly. I love the conversations I have with Siri, because it's like she didn't understand what I was saying, and then all of a sudden it goes to another thing. And so let's talk about how you got into voiceovers.
Well, it was one of those happy accidents that my life seems to be full of. I was a jingle singer, which, if your audience doesn't know what that is, back in the day, it's commercials, singing and music for commercials.
Yeah.
And back in the day, before they started using just old pop tunes, people could actually have a career writing jingles for commercials, and you could actually have a career being a jingle singer, which is what I was. And one day at this studio called Doppler, which was one of the biggest and best studios in Atlanta, which unfortunately closed a couple of years ago, I was singing there, and with a group of people, and the voiceover talent didn't show up to read the copy for the spot. So the studio owner said, "Susan, you don't have an accent. Come over here and read this copy." And so I did, and it went very well, and I went, oh, ding, 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 here's something. We freelancers are always looking for more work, right?
Sure.
So I thought, well, I can do this, so I got a voice coach and then a talent agent, and I've been doing voiceovers ever since.
Isn't that something? So where would you hear your voice?
I'm probably in your car. I'm almost definitely in your phone. And I'm the voice of a lot of different GPS systems. I'm the voice of Delta Airlines gates worldwide. I'm the one who tells you, I'm so sorry, you're in Zone X.
Let me hear a GPS give me some instructions.
In a quarter of a mile, make a left turn.
Yeah, I love it when it's a left turn and they've closed the street and now you don't know where to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know it. I was just going to say, we expect a lot from our digital devices, and now I tell you the thing, it was funny, I was in Australia not too long ago, and I was doing a radio interview there, and they said, we are really, really upset with Siri because she doesn't give you answers anymore. She just says, here's what I found. And meanwhile, if you're asking her a question and you're driving the car, so what, you're supposed to pull over and see what, and check your phone?
Yeah.
So this is very bogus. I mean, Siri's going to have to step up her game, I think. Because, and another thing, too, you talk about the fact that she can't understand you, which, of course, is ridiculous because you're very articulate. But I like to tell people, don't feel bad. She doesn't understand me either, and I'm Siri.
I'd love to hear a conversation between Siri and Alexa. You should find out who does the voice of Alexa.
Oh, yeah. No, she has signed an NDA, so there's no way I can find that out.
Oh, really? Now let's talk about that, because you actually, when you did the voice, when you did all these, how long did you work on this?
The initial recordings took a month, 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, and I did not know that I was going to be Siri. I was not auditioning to be Siri. I was reading what were known as IVR scripts, interactive voice response. And they were different from the typical messaging or narration types of things that I was doing for this particular company. And they said, yeah, this is just kind of a generic phone system stuff. Well, 6 years later, all of those recordings became Siri, Alexa, Cortana, all these other people. And those of us who were the original voices did not have a non-disclosure agreement with Apple because we did not work directly for Apple. We worked for an IVR company called Nuance. And I think ultimately Apple used so many of their voices, they just bought Nuance. So essentially, all of the original voices got paid for the work. We did not get paid for usage on the iPhones. But the subsequent voices got paid initially, but they can't reveal who they are. So essentially, I think that we kind of got the better deal because we get a chance to promote ourselves. And,
Yes.
and actually, Siri has created a whole new career
Oh,
for me,
my
for which I'm
goodness.
very grateful, is doing speaker events,
Yeah.
talking to people about Siri and the voiceover business and all that.
That's great and very entertaining, and you have a really captive audience, and probably may even have some interruptions from yourself if people don't turn off
I know
their
that
phone.
whenever I'm in a hotel practicing my speech and I end up using her name and I'm projecting in the hotel room, she answers me. So I have to say, "Shut up, Siri."
Oh, that is too funny. All right, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, I want to know about the exact day that you found out that you were the voice of Siri.
Okay. Hi, this is Susan Bennett, the original voice of Siri, and Sonny will be right back.
We are brought to you by Ideal Precision Roofing in San Antonio, proud to be veteran-owned and has the distinction of being an Owens Corning Platinum Preferred Contractor. Let me tell you what that means. This is a title awarded to the top 1% of the best contractors in the nation. And when you call Ideal Precision Roofing, you have the satisfaction of joining hundreds of homeowners who have trusted their roof to San Antonio's premier roofing company. Now, if your home was in the wake of the recent hailstorms and severe weather, you can rest assured that many before you have experienced the absolute best in know-how and customer service. And if you're a business owner, let Ideal Precision Roofing give your company building a free inspection. Call 210-485-1553. That's 210-485-1553, or visit them at idealprecisionroofing.com. And tell them Sonny Melendrez sent you. Talking with Susan Bennett, the voice of Siri. Now, the name Siri is actually Norwegian, isn't it?
Yes, one of the creators of Siri, most people probably assume that Siri was created by Apple, but that's not true. There were three engineers, Adam Chayer, Tom Gruber, and a man named Dag Kitlaus, who was from Norway. And, there are a lot of different stories of how the name got, how she got the name. But one story is that Dag and his wife were expecting a baby during the time that he was working on the app, and they'd chosen the name Siri for a baby girl. It's a popular name in Norway. And the baby turned out to be a boy, so the app got the name instead. But interestingly enough, also in Norwegian, the name Siri means beautiful woman who guides you to victory.
Well, there you go right there. A perfect description.
And you can make of that what you will.
That's you, Susan. Steve Jobs was very involved in Siri, wasn't he?
Well, the scripts were really weird because they created all of these phrases and sentences that to get all of the sound combinations in the language. So they weren't written for meaning or content at all. They were just written for sounds. And so they had a lot of really weird sentences like, say, shift fresh issue today. Fossa, ask fussy. Militia, oi, hallucinate, buckra, okra, ooze. And those are actual sentences that I had to read.
Really?
And, for this process called concatenation, which is really, really incredible. Technicians and computers go into the recordings, extract individual specific sounds or diphthongs, put those back together, and those are what end up on our devices. So it's an amazing process, and it's how you can understand that with each iteration of the iPhone, Siri sounds a little smoother and a little more human. If you go back and listen to the very, very first Siri on the iPhone 4S, and she appeared October 4th, 2011, by the way, you can hear that she talked a little bit like this. It was kind of bumpy and a bit robotic.
Yeah.
And that was because of the concatenation process, and, you can hear that it's so much better now.
So we don't blame Siri for any of that because...
Oh, you can't ever blame Siri, and especially do not curse at Siri.
Yeah.
Never, never curse at Siri. Remember, she knows where you live.
I would never do that. I would never do that. All right, so Lee, let's talk about the exact day, because you actually found out from a friend, right? That you were the voice of Siri.
Yeah, a fellow voice actor emailed me and said, hey, we're playing around with this new iPhone app. Isn't this you? And I went, what? And I went running to the computer and went to the Apple site and said, wow, yep, that's me.
Wow. And then when when the word got out, all of a sudden you were on all these television shows. And I understand that CNN actually had a forensic expert. He said that 100% that you were the voice of Siri.
Right. But it kind of freaked me out for a minute because I thought, well, what if this guy says no? Because I know that's my voice. What happened was I did a little interview for some people in Atlanta for CNN, what were called the red chair interviews. And then when CNN realized that this might be a pretty big story, because that was the first time that I had revealed myself as the voice of Siri, they decided, oh, we got to go with this. So they flew me to New York to do their morning show. And the fact that they were very concerned, they said, well, this woman could just be making up this story. We need to actually prove that she is the voice before we go and make a big deal about this nationally. And so they hired a forensic audiologist, and he, listened to my voice, and then he asked me to record a few things for him, and he came out back saying, yes, 100%. Now, Steve Jobs did work very hard. He was very, very involved with the Siri app. But unfortunately, he died just one day after Siri was revealed. I guess at least he was able to see Siri come to fruition on the iPhone, but he didn't really get to see what a big impact she had.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating story. It really is.
I can imagine. And the fact that Siri was designed for an iPhone, and all of a sudden you have people who are using this new technology for the first time. And you talked about October 4th, 2011. You get a call from a friend. He tells you, is this you? You realize that it is. Now, you kind of struggled before you went out into the open and literally came out as the voice of Siri, didn't you?
Yeah, it kind of freaked me out at first because I thought that it could possibly negatively affect my voiceover career. I really love what I do, and I get to do a lot of different voices. And, people just naturally want to typecast you or stereotype you. And so I knew if I revealed myself as the voice of Siri, that's the only way I would be identified. Oh, she's Siri. And I thought that would have an effect on the type of work that I would get to do. And so I really struggled with deciding to do that, on top of the fact that I'm pretty much an introvert. And so I didn't really have that much interest in fame. I was not interested in fame. And so I really struggled with that idea, and my husband and son were just relentless for, many, many months. They kept saying, you are stupid. You are really, really not taking advantage of this incredible, unique opportunity. And I finally decided they were right. I guess the stars aligned or something.
Yeah.
And I decided to go ahead and jump in there.
And your husband said something that was really very prophetic about running to your fears, right? Something.
Oh, no, this was my ex-husband, the hockey player. He said, do what you fear most.
There you go.
And, of course, I make a joke about that in my presentation. I guess what we fear most is dying.
Yeah.
or meeting up with a bear or a shark or something. But, the whole idea of just trying to figure out a way to face that fear and to make that leap of faith. And what I've discovered in my lifetime, and I've seen it happen with other people too, is when you do that, somehow the universe rewards you. I mean, the universe sort of has your back after you go through all that and finally decide to face it. You know,
Amen.
once you do that,
Yeah.
very often good things happen.
And Susan, wouldn't you say that this whole experience has kind of brought you out of that shyness?
Oh, well, I'm not necessarily shy. I mean, I've been a performer all my life, singing and playing music. But I'm an introvert in the sense that I'm not very social. I mean, if I had a choice of going to a party or staying home and reading a book, I'd probably read the book.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, if someone says, you have to go to this party, then I can go to the party and have a good time for a while.
I understand.
I'm almost never going to be the last person at the party.
Absolutely, yeah. And,
Yeah.
and people who don't do that or don't think that way, they can't understand why you wouldn't want to go to the party.
Right,
You know,
right.
it's a whole different experience, and it's really more of a mindset than anything else. So we talk about Siri, and now you're basically all over the world doing these wonderful talks. You also I watched your TEDx talk, and you connected your experience with lessons that you learned. Talk about that.
Right. Well, for me, Siri was a huge life lesson because I really would have to say I was absolutely shocked and appalled that I was the voice of Siri without knowing I was the voice of Siri. You know, people say to me, "Well, how many times did you have to audition?" I'm going, "Well, I didn't." And I think in the digital age, it really changes everything. I think a lot of us, you know, voice actors are auditioning without even really knowing it. I mean, we're on all of these different agents' websites and, you know, casting people and casting sites. And so a lot of the time we don't even know that we're up for a gig and that maybe we got it or lost it.
Yeah.
And so this was a huge surprise, and I wasn't really sure how to deal with the information because I knew that it was going to be a really big deal because basically what the original Siri was the first public manifestation of AI. Mm-hmm. And it was really out there for the public to use.
You're right.
She was the first concatenated voice that you could actually talk to, and she would respond. And so she was a very iconic thing, and I knew that this was going to be a big deal. I just wasn't sure if I wanted to be a part of it. So, yeah, it became a life lesson. And so what I talk about in the latter part of my presentation is, you know, how do we deal with the unexpected? And many times the unexpected is tricky, even if it's positive, because it very often involves change, and sometimes big change. Sometimes, you know, emotional issues get involved. And so I talk about the fact that was one of the big moments in life for me.
I can imagine how you must feel also looking at all your other credits that you've done and looking ahead for other things that you're going to do. You know, what's going on in your life right now?
Basically, what I'm trying to do is just more of the speaker engagements because I just really love it. It's a lot of fun. Gives me a chance to travel and to talk about Siri, which is, you know, I've embraced my inner Siri, and so I enjoy talking about her. She gave me a whole new career, so I'm very grateful.
Do you ever have people like in a restaurant listen to you, hear your voice, and say, "Are you Siri?"
I've only had that happen twice, and they didn't really say, "Are you Siri?" They said, "Your voice sounds familiar." And one was a banker, and one was a waiter. And I told them both, I said, you've got to quit your jobs and get into audio production because you have incredibly fabulous ears.
Oh, wow. That's great. That's great. What advice would you have for someone who is wanting to get into the voiceover industry and maybe just starting out right now?
Well, the first thing is don't quit your day job because everybody and his brother is trying to get into voiceover right now.
Yeah.
For so many years, nobody knew what it was, and now it's become the it thing, and there are just hundreds of voiceover conferences all over the world every year. If you really, really are interested and intent upon doing this, I would say, first of all, sharpen your skills. Learn to read. Learn to cold read, which means, maybe pick up a magazine and see if you can get through a whole paragraph without stumbling. And a lot of voice acting, of course, voiceover encompasses a lot of different things. There's there's narration, there's animation, there's gaming, there are promos, radio and TV commercials. I mean, on and on and on. There are a lot of different aspects of the genre, and there are many opportunities for not everybody. The person who's going to be a fabulous announcer may not be the guy that's going to be able to do anything with animation. And so find the thing that you think you would like to do and that you think you have talent for, and then just get good at it. Get coaching, learn from the experts. Of course, there's so much information on the web now, but practice, reading all the time, reading aloud, record yourself and listen to yourself. Take acting classes, do improv classes, because it's always helpful to be able to just think on your feet.
Well said.
And then, once you've done all that and you feel like you're ready to go, put together a demo, a 60-second commercial demo is the way to start. And, of course, it would be very, very helpful to have, a voice coach help you do that.
Now, would you suggest that people use a professional studio or get equipment that, I know that you have a home studio as well.
Yeah. Well, I think if you really want a super, super top-notch quality demo, you would go to a professional. But knowing that most people who are starting out don't have the kind of money that would cost, if you have a decent smartphone, some sort of mixer amp, a good microphone, you've got to have a good microphone, and a closet, and you can put together your own demo. But I would highly recommend that you get advice from a professional before you start distributing it, because people can tell when it's just an amateur.
Right.
And, even though culturally we seem to be just bottom lining everything, and people seem to be going for what's the cheapest rather than what's the best.
Exactly.
If you can be really, really good at what you do, you can command more than $50 a spot, or $5 as they do on Fiverr. Ah!
Yeah, right. I know. Well, Susan Bennett, I want to congratulate you on all your great success and this wonderful serendipity that happened with Siri, and now you're speaking all over the world and enjoying it on stage and bringing joy to so many people. I think it's very admirable, and I congratulate you.
Well, thank you. Thanks so much.
Well, that's my visit with Susan Bennett, the voice of Siri. Now, you'll find the links to Susan's website, her Facebook page, Twitter, and also the video. We found it. You can watch Susan sing backup for the great Roy Orbison. You'll find it all at sonnyradio.com/show. That's SONNY radio.com/show. And while you're there, subscribe to my podcast so you don't miss a single episode. Our thanks to our sponsor, Ideal Precision Roofing in San Antonio. If you suspect hail damage, give them a call at 210-485-1553 or visit idealprecisionroofing.com. Until next time, I'm Sonny Melendrez, and is Siri still here? Hey, Siri.
Yes, honey?
Would you close the show with an inspirational quotation?
Of course. I found one from Albert Einstein. Would you like to hear it?
Yes, please.
Imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world.
Oh, Siri, that's beautiful. Siri, thank you for everything. Goodbye.
Thank you, Sonny. Goodbye.
The Gun and